First, we'll start with the old Celina Park expansion. As you'll see here, we purchased this land maybe 4 or 5 years ago. That's to the north end of where the current athletic fields are today. As a growing city, we know, parks with young kids and things coming, we need more park space. So this has been in the plans for a while. You're going to see here, you're going to have a fourplex that'll be at the north end down there, the far end. We're going to be adding 400 parking spaces. We're going to have some basketball courts out there, some tennis courts, some new soccer fields. Really going to be a nice addition to what the park's going to look like. This is just kind of some renderings of what the concession stand's going to look like, kind of the makeup of what that ball field is going to be. See another picture there. So we really think this is going to be a feature that our citizens are going to like. We like to have a lot of different festivals out there. Hopefully the weather will start cooperating a little bit better. And hopefully one day our long-term plans is to have a facility that if we do have a weather-related incident, we can move it indoors. We're just not there yet. And so our second thing I'm going to talk about, it's been our capital improvement project, is acquiring land for a central police headquarters. Right now they're right next to the Methodist Church, which is going to be our future council chambers. And working with our chief and police staff over the last 3 or 4 years, really identifying an area that we could buy. Land's not getting any cheaper. And so finding some land that we can acquire today that we can actually build our future build out at some point. Our police officers are great guys. They work hard. They're in a small space right now and they make it do. They never complain about where they're at, but we know we're going to have to step up and really help them out. So if you'll see, it's located, there's Choke Parkway at the top, Coit Road, and Punk Carter Parkway. And so we have that under contract. We haven't closed on it yet, correct? Or have we closed? We put our earners money down on it. And after looking at where we think this will be an ideal location, we'll probably have some substations throughout the city, many square miles that we have. We feel like this will be our best ingress, egress, our best location to be able to have total build out for our police complex in the future. And we're kind of hoping that, I'm putting a time frame 3 to 5 years. We'll see legislatively, as we'll talk about a little bit later, the hampering we're having with some of the tax stuff. We're just going to have to see how it goes. We'll probably be bringing it to the voters at some time next 2 to 3 years and see what happens. If you've seen a lot of the big transmission lines, the big black pipe laying around everywhere, coming from our Celina Pump Road Station, which is out on Celina Road, going on 428, that pump, they've been running that for a while now. And that's going to help our downtown. Basically, right now it's about 18 inches, and we moved it up to 36-inch line, which is a big increase. As you read here, from the Celina Road pump station along 428 to the downtown pump station. From the downtown pump station, the pipe reduces from 36 to 30 and extended all the way to East Sunset Boulevard, where it will serve the residents on the east side of Preston. This upsize will allow the city to meet its daily water demand and TCEQ storage requirements of 200 gallons per connection. If you also notice, we don't have it on the slide, but our new water tower that's out off of Court Road out there is up in the air. We're hoping that'll be online by end of the year, I think, hopefully. September, October, which will also help with our pressure needs. Lately, talking about water, we've done a lot of infrastructure improvements with our SCADA system to new communications. With that comes some headaches sometimes. You got old stuff trying to talk to new stuff and new stuff talking to old stuff. And so we're working through that diligently. I know last Thursday or Friday, we had some people that were out of water for about an hour downtown. Well, unbeknown to us, a contractor had cut our communication line that was communication to the new SCADA system. They identified that problem, got it turned back on, and it was rectified really quick. But I'm not saying it's not going to happen again, but with all the construction we got going on, we're always diligently having people monitor those stations. The new system we have, hopefully, will be a redundant system, so when we do have a problem like that in the future, it would notify the Public Works Department, and I see Alan back there. Those guys work hard to make sure we have water, and that's not an easy task. Right now, this time of year, we're using a lot of water, and the demand with just the growth we have, a couple of months ago, it was the Upper Trinity. We get all of our water from Upper Trinity. They had a major water line that broke under Lake Louisville. That's not just jump down there and fix it in an hour. So to be, we got a lot of calls and concerns going, well, we've never had to ration water in Celina. We always just have to be on the conservative side. Well, this caused them to reroute the water coming from a different station, which they do have a redundancy system. But if something would have happened to that system, then we'd have had to go to the third one. So we just wanted people to conserve until they got it fixed. And I know Jessica does, again, a great job getting that social media stuff out there. Anytime you have a low water pressure or no water, please notify us as soon as possible, because sometimes it's you guys that see it before we do if it hits certain areas of the city. So we think this 36-inch line is going to really help our downtown, really help our pressure as we continue to grow. If you'll see as an example of those black pipes that you see out there. It's a major undertaking. Some people call and say, well, this is going to be a new road, but that's just where they laid the line, and that's wide of an easement that we have to have that we had to get all the way from out there all the way to east of Sunset. So it's not something that we started yesterday. We've been working on this project for probably 4 or 5 years, acquiring easements and getting things in place to be able to even put it in the ground. It's council chambers and annex remodel. If you've been downtown, we've got a lot of construction going on downtown. The old Methodist church, I'll start there. If you'll see on the right side, we have a clock tower. We're bringing it up to ADA compliant. Methodist church, when it kind of fell out of compliance a little bit. We're going to have an elevator that you won't be scared to get stuck in from now on. I wouldn't have got on it. But you're going to have a clock tower up there that not only is it going to allow us to have the clock and the elevator, but it also is going to be a location that we can put some more cell site towers and things like that to improve our cell communications downtown. And so it's going to be used for our planning and zoning, for our council meetings. It'll be able to host. Right now we don't have any other space, but this space really big enough to host anything in the city when we do meetings, typical meetings, daily meetings, and things like that. So this will be used for all those purposes. There may be some point in the future the school might use it for their school board location, their board meetings. They've been gracious to let us use their gym over the last 6-7 months until we get ours up to speed. This is a little bit more involved renovation, so it's probably sometime in 2020 we'll have it done. We're excited about having a place because we really feel like one of the reasons we love the old EDC building where we were for a while, but we just ran out of space. We think it's important when citizens want to come and listen, they need to be in somewhat of a comfortable environment where they can sit there. Those church pews, they got a little tiring after you had to sit there for a little bit. So we hope, my vision, and I think council vision is, it's a great piece of history in Celina. I could see us using this council chambers for a long time. And then now, I guess I'll turn it over.
Hello, everybody. We're going to talk a little bit about the Parks Master Plan. I'm going to kind of roll through things kind of quickly here, so if you have any questions, let me know here and everything. It looks like it's on. Oh, now you got to hold it closer. Okay. Thanks, everybody. We completed the City Trails Master Plan, which basically defines trails throughout the community in two different concepts, both looking at trails off roadway right-of-ways, stream channels and the like, and then also looking at trails that would also be within road right-of-ways. So we completed this document actually last year. You can see a copy of it over here. So the Parks Master Plan is a component that relates to the Trails Master Plan. We're basically working on the project for a series of about a year. Right now we're taking a lot of citizen input into wants and desires for new parks, passive activities, sports-related activities, and looking throughout the entire community. So we have a website up for a questionnaire, so we'll give you this address in just a second to give a whole series of input. Here we are, in fact, Celina, EngageCelina.com Parks Master Plan. It's a link off the city's website. Please go there, fill out a survey, let us know some of your thoughts regarding your wants and desires regarding parks and different recreation programs. We've had a series of 6 meetings throughout the community at different locations, received some good input, very happy to say, but again, that parks survey is extremely important. There's a whole range of different park sizes that make up a city. Smaller parks, mini parks, neighborhood parks, things that are more community and neighborhood related in different sizes. We are probably going to be leaning to more of some of the larger size parks. They provide greater activity, greater variety. They also work from an economy of scale and everything. So different sizes of parks that we're going to be looking at here that we're kind of favoring are some of the larger ones here within the city. Clearly there's 3 excellent parks within the community. Old Celina Park is the area where there's a lot of sports related facilities. That's being expanded, just as the mayor said, but we're also going to be looking at linear parks, things that might provide trails and activity to connect neighborhoods to schools and other activities. So playing off of some of the activities that we have here in the 3 parks. And as you can see, that those locations in the green is where those 3 existing parks are. They're in the core of the community, in kind of its historic core, but we also have another set of parks. It's the HOA parks. Many of the master planned communities are building facilities that provide recreation and park activities. So we're actually calculating 2 different types of park: city-owned parkland and HOA facilities. Level of service. When you start talking about park systems and everything, it's all related to level of service. And that depends upon the type and the amount of parks that you want in comparison to what the state average is, and or comparisons to some of your neighboring communities. Here we are, we're just showing Texas baseline here for neighborhood parks. It's 2 acres per 1,000 individuals is the baseline for understanding neighborhood parks. For community parks, it's at 10 acres per 1,000. We're currently doing an analysis of looking at these 4 communities, understanding the amount of parkland that they have, understanding the population they currently have, looking at projections for growth, and paralleling some of those growth plans and the amounts of park, and looking at what Celina wants and asking citizens, some of these communities, which are some of the parks that you see in some of your neighboring communities, and that level of service that you would eventually like to achieve here within Celina as we start to see the growth that is continuing. So level of service here within Celina right now, we're over 16,000 people currently, probably over 17,000. We have over 66 acres in parks, in three parks. So if you factor down to the current level of service, we are at 4.04 acres per 1,000 people. That's actually a pretty good ratio to be at for a growing community and a young community at this current size. We just missed our quick little analysis component, but the key thing that I'd like everybody to go to is go to this website here within this weekend, over the next few weeks, engagecelina.com/parks master plan. Give us some input on what you would like to see from a parks standpoint regarding new parks, types of parks, general locations. It's roughly 20-something questions, takes you less than 15 minutes, and that provides a significant set of data and input to what we will receive, and then will help to look at when we start to establish level of service and distribution of parks for Celina in the future. So thank you all very much. That's just a quick overview of the parks plan, and now we'll go into the comprehensive plan. Ms. Abra.
Good evening, I'm Abra Nasser. I am with Ideation Planning, and we are the project managers for the city's comprehensive plan update called Celina 2040. So just a little background, the last comprehensive plan was done in 2013. So we are in need of an update because Celina has experienced a lot of growth since then, and a lot of growth is coming, as you guys know. So it's important to manage that growth and do it right. Last year we performed a community survey, got tons of amazing feedback, said that managed growth, planned growth, and downtown were very, very important. So from that survey, we also did a strategic plan with City Council that established a vision and goals. And then we did the downtown master plan, which was adopted in January of this year. And we launched the comprehensive plan update right after that. So this is our planning team here. We're the lead consultants, which are lead on the planning front. And then we have Stantec with us for engineering, urban design, and mobility. Urban Eco Plan is handling natural systems and drainage. And then Ricker Cunningham is making sure that our plan is market-based and realistic. So the role of the comp plan is it sets a vision for the future. We're looking out to 2040, so that's a 20-year planning horizon. It establishes policies to manage growth, and then it also provides a framework for other planning and action efforts that the city may take. So the planning process is generally 16 months. We kicked off in the spring of this year. We already had Community Forum 1 in May and Community Forum 2 just a week or two ago. It was a very big success. We had it with the Friday night market and had over 200 people attend. So we were very pleased with that effort, and it was a good time. I think people generally enjoyed it. So we're anticipating Community Forum 3 to be in 2020, which is basically where we present the draft concepts and say, did we get it right? Do we need to refine it? Did we miss anything? So be looking for that Community Forum coming up. This is the key process points. You can't read it from there. It's just to show you that there is a document called Key Process Points. I have copies over there by that young lady, and next to the colored pencils and coloring books. And it just basically shows you what we have achieved and what is coming up next in the process. So it's to help everybody follow along. It is a 16-month schedule, so sometimes we get lost in where we've been and where we're going. So just keep that in mind. We have multiple engagement methods. I would assume you have seen some signage in the community about the community forums. We have online engagement, which I'll talk to you about in a moment. And then in person, which is my favorite and probably the most important, which is talking to people and reaching out to the community at specific events and doing interviews. And so we have completed a lot of that feedback, but it's not over yet. So as Rick mentioned, EngageCelina.com was launched with the comprehensive planning effort, and it has both Parks Master Plan info on there and comprehensive plan info on there. And if you go to Celina2040.com, it actually directs you to that webpage where you can interact and provide feedback. On the right side there, you'll see the key process points in a different format, so you can kind of follow along with where we are and what's coming up next. We have a topic up there right now to share your ideas for what types of special places you'd like to see in Celina and what the design of those special places looks like. We've already done a mobility survey and a housing survey. We've gotten tons of great feedback from that. So Community Forum 1 in May, we had Celina in one word. You can see home and values and hometown and growing and family all came through as big themes. And then on the right side, we did different age boards, and you'll see that picture on the bottom left where we said, what do young adults need? What do young children need? What do older adults need? And that's kind of the conglomeration. Everybody wants more parks and recreation amenities. So it's good that Rick Leisner and Norris Design are working with the city on the Parks and Recreation Master Plan, and lots of entertainment uses. And Celina loves water. So whether that be a natatorium, neighborhood swimming pools, water features, splash pads, Celina does love water and they want more of it. Community Forum 2, also a grand time and got a lot of feedback. Small town feel is so important to Celina, and that is the biggest theme that we have heard so far, is that small town feel. How do we keep elements of that as Celina grows? What can we do to cling to those things that make Celina special? So part of our role is to figure out what are those things that are making Celina special, and how can we preserve and enhance them and maybe work them into the growth patterns as Celina moves forward. So these are some vision themes. Again, you're not going to be able to see this. It's very small, but small town feel is there, family is there, a competitive position in the marketplace, community service, unique identity, walkability, lots of things. And so all of these trends lead to a vision statement. And so we'll be going to City Council in the next couple weeks to present that draft vision statement that the advisory committee has already recommended for approval. So with that being said, we're moving into drafting the plan now, which is the exciting part. You know, it's kind of all coming together, and we've gotten the feedback, and we're going to put it into action and figure out what to do with Celina as we move forward.
We're going to kind of just answer the couple of questions that we had come in. Why do city workers open fire hydrant and let the water gush out? Aren't they wasting water? From time to time, the water department will flush water mains in your neighborhood to help maintain water quality by moving fresh, clean water through the lines. And Alan, I know you're back there, and I think that's kind of a requirement by TCEQ too, to keep making sure when we take our chlorine tests and all that, we got to make sure we can flow it and keep those lines moving, correct? Annual maintenance, okay. So we're not doing it just for fun and to waste water. Why is my water bill so high? This is one we get a lot. Water billing is based on actual water consumption. Some common causes of water use increase include water in the lawn or garden, the addition of guests or occupants in the home, filling a hot tub or swimming pool, additional guests or occupants in the home equals additional water usage in laundry. The biggest culprit for higher usage is a leaking toilet. So how to check your toilet for a leak? Place a few drops of food coloring in the tank of your toilet. Leave for 15 to 30 minutes without flushing. If the color has seeped into the bowl, then you have a leak. The flapper is the usual cause of toilet leaks. This whole presentation too, there's a lot of things being posted up here. It'll all be posted online. We have the one that we did in December, and then this one will also be posted as well. And then who decides the water rates, sewer rates? Utility rates are determined by a collaborative process between city council, staff, and as expert consultants who gauge the city's water usage. Water and water treatment costs, utility infrastructure condition and needs, and suggest options for how to pay for the operations of the utilities department. Water and sewer department acts as a nonprofit entity and utilizes only the fees charged to its customers to fund operation. It is not subsidized by general tax dollars. So what we got in the deal, I guess this is my 7th year as mayor, almost 9 years on council. When we first got on council, we were running right about a little negative in our fund, our balance fund for water and sewer. We try to keep about 25 or 30% in there for the worst case scenarios, lightning strikes and takes the pump out, things like that. And so for a long time, we maintained that same water price. At the same time, Upper Trinity, who we buy our water from, was going up 3 to 5% a year. We ate those costs as long as we could, and that's why you started seeing your increases in water, because we buy it from them. As the whole Collin County is growing so fast, Upper Trinity just doesn't supply to us, they supply to a lot of different cities, so they have to keep maintaining that. As we grow, we have to increase our water subscription. It's a take or pay system. We fight this all the time in Austin to come up with a better solution, but again, they're kind of in control of our water, and we kind of have to play by their rules, even though we don't like it sometimes. And so, what are the major issues with getting our trash collected? Occasionally, city staff receive complaints about trash pickup being delayed or missed. Some of these issues involved including placing the trash bin out late or on a different week than pickup. If your trash recycling is out on the correct date and location is still missed, please call the number at the City Hall, 469-452-8000. We will ensure that your trash is picked up. I can tell you we've had a couple situations, they're not perfect. And we had one guy that kept missing the same road over and over. And so what we finally made them do is they had to call my cell phone every week and take a picture that they were at that address. And to me, that's what we're elected for, all the council people in here and our staff. We're in the customer service business. And even though how big we get, we need to continue to keep up with that because we want to be different. We want to do the little things right. And it's not easy sometimes, but we want to continue doing that. And when will Celina get a bigger library? As Celina continues to grow, it needs to promote citizen engagement activities for families grow as well. So the expansion of greater library facilities is a priority to council and staff. Staff is currently looking at options to increase library services to better match the needs of the community and its customers. The first step in the process will be to refresh of the current library in early 2020. We know we have a lot of different needs like that, but we also know we have to be fiscally responsible, and we don't want to go out right now and build a $20 or $30 million city hall, so to speak. We're cramped on space, but our employees, they make do with what we have. And we try to give them everything they need, but we want to look at what's the future going to hold. Things are changing, retail's changing. People don't go to City Hall like they used to because they can do more things online. The more we can educate and get people to pay things online, our concept that we kind of kick around is a City Hall that's multi-use. How could you use it for City Hall during the day, and then what can we convert it to at night to really maximize what our tax dollars are going for? And so at this time, that's kind of the questions we had in. I'll open it up. We have our staff here. Anybody have questions? Go ahead.
Question I always ask you, how are we going to cut these taxes or reduce these taxes and incorporate more businesses? You are bringing more rooftops, as you always call it, to bring business. But my taxes are going up astronomically.
Well, first of all, we're not the appraisal district, so we don't set the taxes.
Right.
But to get commercial, you have to have rooftops, and that's just an extra beast. We're about 17,000 people today. we're still on that cusp of not having enough rooftops to attract big commercial infrastructure or commercial business. We're also, Preston and 380, or Preston Road, 380, you know, they're blowing up right there. But they're in the right location. It's slowly coming this way. We have some cool things. We have a developer here tonight, and I won't point him out. It's working on some cool stuff for us, kind of our entry into Celina. So it just takes more rooftops. But another thing we have to consider too is it takes a workforce too. Right now, you go down to Kroger's and Prosper's, and they're dying trying to hire people to work. We've got to figure out, and I'm not saying we need some type of affordable housing that keeps in that $200,000 to $250,000 range where people can afford to live in Celina and work in Celina. Right now we have the burger joint that's at Carter Ranch. They were doing pretty good business. They just couldn't hire employees there. And so that's what we really got to look at. You know, the rooftops will bring the commercial. It's going to come. And we're being a little picky. We're not being, I shouldn't say picky, but we're not giving a lot of tax incentives unless it's really a home run deal that's going to make a big impact in our community and our workforce. And so it just takes time. We've been laying the groundwork. Corbett Howard, EDC director, and now our government affairs director. You got Alexis that's here. They're working their rears off. I see Jay Pierce back there on our EDC board, talking to everybody we can talk to. But we're still a little bit not enough because we're so spread out. You know, you think of our community being 84, 86 square miles, and everything's coming. You know, that Prosper is only 16 or 17 square miles. They've done a great job. They're getting a lot of cool stuff. But we're next on that next cycle, we feel like. But we got to continue to have an open mind on what kind of houses we need. We need houses for everybody. And that's what we're working on right now. Does that answer it? I wish we could have it tomorrow. I mean, I'd love it. Because we need commercial. We're focused hard on it. Another question? Yeah, here in yellow. Yes, sir.
What's the role of public improvement districts here in Celina?
The PIDs? Who wants to answer that one? I'm talking a lot.
Currently, Celina has several PIDs that are in the various neighborhoods, and they've been used to bring and extend infrastructure to those developments. Without the PIDs helping to pay for some of the infrastructure, those developments wouldn't be able to happen. And so with the PIDs is an assessment to the people that move into those developments. And with the PID, you can eventually pay off that assessment over the lifetime of the house payment.
Is there any exposure by the city if bids go under the real estate downturn?
No, the PIDs are sold as bonds, but they're totally backed up by assessments. And so to give you an idea, the PIDs have the same kind of exposures, like how many people do you see lose their land over not paying their taxes? And so if you think about it, the PID assessment's guaranteed by the land. And so if you don't pay your PID like if you didn't pay taxes, then the bank or the bonds could come after the house, but they'd only have to pay for that 1 year's assessment. So they're pretty secure and safe from being defaulted. So the city's not at risk from the bonds. Eventually, just like your mortgage company guarantees that your taxes are paid. They also guarantee that your PIDs are paid because if you have a loan on your house, they don't want that to default. Does that answer your question?
And I think even more on the PID. The PID is assessed on each house. So like you didn't pay your PID, it wouldn't affect the whole development. Mortgage company just come after you to get that done. I think the first PID was done in 1983, and don't quote me, somewhere in that mid-80s. There hasn't been one case yet to where it got back anything to do with the city had to buy the land or anything like that. Most of the time those investors are the ones that are at risk if they do a PID, because if the whole development failed because growth stopped and there was a bunch of PID assessments that the developer had to pay, then the bank would get that land back and somebody would be at the courthouse steps paying that off to get it. So there was a question back there, I think. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I'm curious, how do I become better educated on what land is plotted for what developments and things like that? For example, like Chalk Hill, for like 430 lots, it just feels extremely dense. So I'm wondering, how do I get on the front end of those decisions and have to make some of those things?
Those developments all go through zoning, and so you can sign up to get the council information in the meeting. So you can watch the agendas. But I believe they can sign up for an email that will send them when the meetings are set and when the agendas. And so then if you just watch those emails, you can see, and they usually will have information in the agenda packet. The development services report online also has usually development, what's happening on commercial projects. But I assume you mean before it even happens, before the zoning.
I find out about them eventually,
the council agendas are the easiest. They have to go first through the Planning and Zoning Commission, and then later they go to council meetings. So usually it's plotted on there. I know we're working long-term to try to get an active GIS system online that can kind of talk about those projects, so someone could go to that. But we're close, but we don't have it active yet.
That's very helpful. It's great to hear her talk about small town feel being something that's heard as a priority. So that's exciting. I'm just hoping we can really execute on that because the more that comes in, right, the smaller I feel like, the more we feel like the committee and less like Celina.
Well, one of the things we're working on right now is our neighborhood design guideline standards, and we're rewriting the subdivision ordinance to that effect. So the market is driving smaller lots because of land costs. But one of the things that we've talked about to maintain some of that small town feel is how you can meet your neighbors. And so in a lot of subdivisions, if you have green space or open space where people can meet either because their kids are playing or because there's a barbecue pit there or chairs or a bench or anything that gives you a chance to meet your neighbors, I think is a way that we can maintain that small town feel through design of the subdivisions, even if there are a lot of homes. Because I mean, with land prices and the way private property works, we eventually will be a lot of citizens, and so we struggle a lot to how to maintain that small town charm and some of the open space feel. We've increased some of our landscape setbacks on the thoroughfares, so you don't feel like buildings are right up on the main thoroughfares. The Trails Master Plan, part of that was to encourage trails throughout all our developments, but also that they're connected. So if you wanted to, you can leave your house, walk out on a trail, go someplace, hopefully maybe to eat or have a drink, and then come back home without having to get in your car. We're also encouraging, we added bike lanes to all our thoroughfares and 10-foot sidewalks. And so part of that is that everything kind of feels connected.
I like that. Hopefully the cows don't all go away, right?
All right, another question? Yes, sir.
As you said, in a small town, setting, and as we go, downtown Celina, there's a lot of rough streets, rough homes. What are we gonna do about that renovation or, code, standard code, street, homes?
The downtown is the original heart of Celina, and it's a clear priority of council. It's one of the reasons why we passed and went through the downtown master plan. It's to set a kind of a vision framework for improving the old donation part of Celina. I watch the forums and next door, and I see the struggles that people have with, and council sees that also with, some of the roads getting repaired, the drainage. We have a drainage plan overall that we're trying to do. Most of the worst drainage is down here on Ohio and Ash. But the system starts over by Old Celina, by Celina Primary Elementary, and then that's where the downstream is, and has to come back up through this side of the square. And so it's a really expensive system. But we are looking at improvements in the downtown square. We have a Colorado under design to take drainage from the square north out, and then the next step will be to do a drainage project to the south. But these projects are very expensive.
Yeah, well, like the streets, for instance, are they the code?
Well,
Yes, you have, like you said, drainage, usually have side roads, whatever, but even the homes, I'm just looking at, in this central business district, the homes around the community, around the business district are. This year the council did hire approval of a code manager, and he's starting to actively look at the homes to make sure that they comply with the code. But we're a gentle city. I mean, we're going to ease into code enforcement because a lot of the homes haven't had any code enforcement for 10 years. So for the city to come at them, hard and fast, that's just not how we operate. And so it's going to be a slow process where we kind of tell people, hey, maybe that junk vehicle is not really allowed in your house, and so, but we're not going to go right after people's flower pots and stuff like that. And so we are working on it, but it's the code process is probably a few years process. The streets process is anywhere from 5 to a 20-year plan to redo all the streets in the downtown. But it's a high priority of council. As we grow, they've instructed staff to try to invest as much as they can from the growth of the city back into the downtown.
All right, another question? Yes. About which one? We do, where we would.
See, you posted signs out there, no trucks don't come in.
Yeah, there is a no truck zone there.
Yeah.
They're really hard to enforce.
Yeah, we do have a no truck zone there, but they're really hard to enforce. I don't know if, Chief, you got any expertise on that, but and that transitions over some of that into the county, right? So, and the county, I don't think can regulate no truck zone. Is that correct?
Okay, not if
No.
they have to go that way.
Yeah. We've actually worked, I know, and Chief Griggs, maybe you can add to this or not, but I know we've worked with DPS and the Sheriff's Department actually bringing out their enforcement trucks, and they'll sit there and they'll stop them all in one day, but that doesn't keep them from going back the next day. And just to be blatantly honest, I don't think there's enough officers to keep them off there every day. And we've put those signs up. We hope at some point that we can reroute them. And Chief Griggs, you're the traffic man, so you're the one that pulls over everybody, so.
I think, Mayor, you covered it pretty well, but we do have the Texas Department of Public Safety come out periodically with their truck group, and they check all the trucks for weights, make sure they're being operated properly. We'll continue to do that periodically, and our officers do enforce the no truck zones. But you see a lot of trucks out there, as you mentioned, so we'll constantly watch that, and periodically we'll have the Department of Public Safety out here. They bring 6 or 7 guys, and they weigh the trucks, they check all the equipment, we try to make sure they're as safe as possible to be out on our roadways.
All right, another question?
What is the city gonna do as far as the boards? Recycling the same old people?
Well, we don't recycle the same old people, and I tell you, we have, the first 5 or 6 years I was on here, we didn't have very many people apply for boards. Now we're getting a lot of boards. So what we do in August is we take all the people that apply for the boards, they'll go through and look at resumes and weed them down to, if there's, some boards may have 30 people apply. There's no reason to interview all 30 people if 10 of them don't have the experience where there's a development side or something like that. We try to pick a section from everybody throughout the whole city. And so it'll be my Mayor Pro Tem, Chad Anderson. They'll have 2 councilmen on that board. They actually go through there and will interview the ones that they want to interview based off of their resume. And then they take their recommendations to the council, and the council will appoint the board members to all the boards. And that's the way it works in every city. So to say we're recycling board members, we've got a lot of new people that's been on there the last 2 or 3 years. Early, yeah, we had a lot of the same people, just because we didn't have people apply. And so we only have so many board spots, and now it's a good thing to have that problem, to be able to have 50 or 60 people. Vicki, I don't know how many we have, if she's in here somewhere, but I know we've had a bunch of responses this year, more than we ever have. So I think we cut it off July the 20, Vicki, when did we cut that off? The applications? July 31st, so till tomorrow. And then she'll put all those together. She'll put them in groups of who who wants to be on what boards. And then we'll turn it over to our 2 councilmen and our Mayor Pro Tem. They'll go through them, and then they'll bring their recommendations to council. Yes, ma'am.
It's a sore subject, and I'm sorry to have to bring this up, but the people that you have given a 10-year annexation agreement to, I think we're maybe now at 8 years left. Will the city be able to provide water, sewer, public safety, and all the things that the city resident is allowed?
We'll be able, so talk about the ones that got the 10-year deal. Go ahead. Well, anybody that we did a 10-year deal with, now that they're on 8 years, we'll be able to provide you any services that we have to by law to make sure we're comply within what the law requires us to do through the annexation process. And I can tell you the annexation process changed a lot last year, and I see a lot more changes coming next legislative session. So in 8 years, who knows where we'll be, but from a city standpoint, we'll be in the position to offer you what services need to be offered to comply within the law to do that. What was the rest of your question? What was the rest of the question? Was that it?
I don't know what those services, where it stands right now. You just said that it'll change each year.
It could change each year. Yeah, right now, so the legislatively last November, I believe, was it last November? They changed to where cities can't do any involuntary annexations anymore. And so now we can do voluntary annexations, which we're working with people to do that. And so today, say if I would annex, we would annex you that day. We would provide you with police and fire, at that get-go, we would meet our obligations by the state because you would have our police and fire. We would not have to, and tell me if I'm wrong on this, we wouldn't have to, water, sewer, and all that stuff doesn't have to come.
It depends if we have the CCN or not.
Okay, so if we have the CCN in that, so like with our deal with Mary Lee. So yeah, and we are, because you guys are on 88, right, at the end of 88 down there. I know we have our long-term plan, yeah,
Towards east of Coit?
yeah.
Yeah, we have a developer that will be extending water out.
Here, you
there
can talk
soon.
about that a little more if you want to.
Yeah, on Choke, at least from Coit east, we have two developers that we're doing agreements with to extend the water, a 12-inch water line down Choke. Not quite all the way to Custer, but about 2/3 of the way to where the future Roseland Parkway is, if you know where that is on a thoroughfare map. It's a road called Roseland. It doesn't exist right now, but it extends up from Mustang Lakes. But yeah, we're actively extending our water and sewer. We hired, in the last 2 years, we've hired 10 police officers, which is about a 40% increase in the force. And then we're opening Station 2 for the fire department in Light Farms, and we have other stations that we're buying land for future planning also. So.
All right, other question? All right. If that's it, again, you can, Jessica, you're going to put this online, correct? And if you want to come up here and say a few words, kind of how do you do your responses, and where would you like people to email questions if they have questions anytime? Just kind of give them a spill on how you dictate that, and talk about CityBot a little bit and some of the other stuff that we have right quick.
I'll stick around if anybody wants to.
Okay.
Yeah, so staff is here. There's business cards over there to pick up if anyone needs to email staff. You guys can always email townhall@slime-tx.gov. Use CityBot as well. Everything is on our website. Our social media channels, our Nextdoor channels are on there. This is actually being recorded, so we're going to have a professional video made. It's going to be on our website. This is on Facebook Live, so if anyone wants to go watch it now, it's also on Facebook Live. What else?
That's it, I think. It's good. And we've got all levels of staff here, so if you would have any other questions, we'll hang around for a little bit if you want to ask any questions. City manager, police chief, we have the fire chief here, we have parks director, public works director, engineering director, development director. I think we've got everybody here.